Hi, good morning everyone. This is Shivprasad Yadav. Welcome to Indian Economy Sessions by Prepcat. Now, till now, we have discussed many issues which are related to non-performing assets in Indian context. Now, what are the measures taken by the Reserve Bank of India with respect to non-performing assets on banking system? We'll see. So the very first one is PCA framework, Prompt Corrective Action Framework. So before dealing with this thing, Prompt Corrective Action Framework, we are supposed to learn about few things. The background of PCA actually. So whatever the background is there, actually it starts with it has its foundations in Narasimhan Committee recommendations in 1998. So Narasimhan Committee has said something about these non-performing assets. So Narasimhan Committee recommendations in 1998, and the solution given by the Narasimhan Committee is consolidation of banking system. For example, in India we have a number of public sector banks. For example, till recent times we have more than 20 public sector banks. Then all state banks were amalgamated into a single State Bank of India, and some banks like Andhra Bank were merged with Union Bank of India. So the number has been reduced drastically. So it is once it used to be more than 20, and now it is almost at 12. So that thing has been raised by that concept has been raised by the Narasimhan long back. Look at it, it has been discussed in 1998. Now we are in 2021. So 21 plus 2, 23, 20, almost you can take 25 years back this concept has been discussed, how we can come out of this situation as the. And remember one thing, this 1998 is very close to the period 1991, the LPG beginning period in India. Whatever the post reform period is there, this number is close to that post reform period only. So actually this is the period when the Indian banking system is moving towards many changes, huge reforms were introduced in Indian banking system. So something related to prompt corrective action has been discussed in that time itself by the Nursing Committee. Then there has been something has happened in 2002 when actually this PCA framework has been materialized, came into existence by the RBA, and recently it has been revised in 2017. So with respect, when you want to focus on chronology, PCA framework, the very first time something related to PCA framework and some not exactly PCA framework related to reducing the NPAs and consolidation of banking system, Indian banks. So that has been in 1998. So by merging the banks, you can do something related to reduce the NPAs. And exact prompt corrective action framework has been introduced in 2002 and it has been revised in 2017. Now, what is the background of this thing? Exactly in 2002, we have learned some lessons from other countries. For example, East Asian economies have been through a critical financial crisis in that period. Based on that period, we have learned something. Whatever the crisis, TBS crisis happened in East Asian countries. Based on that TBS crisis, we have learned something, and the RBI has introduced this PCA framework in 2002. So actually, we can say that it's a precautionary step. We generally we say that prevention is better than cure. Likewise, PCA is prevention better than cure. It's an early intervention mechanism by the Reserve Bank of India. In common people's language, we can say that early intervention mechanism, a big word. So whatever the early intervention mechanism concept is there, early intervention mechanism concept is there, it can be equalized with the common language. Prevention is better than cure. So early intervention mechanism is nothing but prevention is better than cure. So this is PCA framework is an early intervention mechanism. So the RBI is going to interfere into the functions of the that particular bank which is not working properly, whether it is due to maladministration or it unable to recover its loans or its net non-performing assets or its tier 1 tier 2 or its capital adequacy ratio or its returns on assets. There are number of parameters are there. I'll discuss the parameters here. So whatever the thing is there, it is related to all those issues. For example, a bank is not doing well with respect to its capital adequacy ratio. It is also known as capital to risk weighted assets ratio. I have already told you in simple language, capital adequacy ratio means certain deposits will be there in the bank and some amount will goes out of the bank as loan. So whatever the total value will be there after giving loans, that is including interest or profits, that is capital adequacy ratio or capital to risk weighted assets ratio, that is in simple language. And what are the net total NPAs? For example, if you are calculating your assets like capital adequacy ratio, you are supposed to calculate net NPAs also. How much loans are have to be recovered? That is net NPA you have to calculate. And return on assets, whatever the assets of the bank is there. For example, a 1 lakh loan has been out of the bank, and how much is generated from that 1 lakh loan? Return on assets. That in simple language, how much you have acquired by giving loans. You gave 10 lakh loan and how much has been acquired on it. You gave 1 crore loan, how much has been acquired on it. So everything, return on assets, net non-performing assets value, capital adequacy ratio, and finally it also focuses on the fourth point, what you are doing with respect to your tier 1 and tier 2 capital. What is your exact position with respect to tier 1 and tier 2 capital. So if these parameters are going in a wrong way, then RBI is forced to go for early intervention mechanism, and here the clash comes in between the government of India and Reserve Bank. The Reserve Bank says that I have to, and I am the responsible person for the monetary policy, for the banking system. If I'm not going to intervene early, the banking system is going to collapse. That is the stand of RBI. And exactly on the other side, the government of India is saying that if you are going to impose more and more and more restrictions on the banking system through PCA framework, then the money flow in the money markets will be reduced, then it will be a huge setback to the economy. That is the stand of government of India. Here, when it comes to prompt corrective action, on one side government of India is there, on the other side Reserve Bank of India is there. There is a clash between Government of India and Reserve Bank of India with respect to prompt corrective action. RBI is saying that they are not doing properly with respect to capital adequacy ratio, with respect to net NPAs, with respect to reverse return on assets, with respect to tier 1 and tier 2 capital. So when all these parameters are not working properly, then how the banking system will work properly? As the head of the banking system, as I am taking care of the monetary policy, I have to intervene as an early intervention. That's why I'm imposing prompt corrective action framework on those banks, those are not working properly. And exactly on the other side, government of India is not in such a position to accept whatever the Reserve Bank of India is saying at present. That is the thing going in between government of India and Reserve Bank of India. So based on this one, if a bank is under a prompt corrective action, then there will be limitations on its profit sharing of the bank. So profit sharing of the bank will be reduced. If a bank is under PCA framework, it is not supposed to do so much profit sharing when it is already in huge NPAs. And expansion of the bank is not allowed. It is restricted. So expansion, and there are certain limitations on executive body of the bank also. So these are the restrictions the RBI is going to make on that particular bank which is under PCA framework. Now, one more question arises in our examination point of view. Is this PCA framework is only for scheduled commercial banks, or it is only applicable for scheduled cooperative banks also? For scheduled commercial banks, there is no restriction in implementing the PCA framework because they come 100% under Reserve Bank of India. But when it comes to scheduled cooperative banks, they won't come under completely under Reserve Bank of India because the establishment of cooperative banks, particularly urban cooperative banks, is based on a state-based act. For every state, it is having its own cooperative law. So, up to some extent only, the urban cooperative banks are going to come under the Reserve Bank of India. So, if there is a question in the examination related to what is the status of cooperative banking structure with respect to prompt corrective action framework, the answer will be they won't come under 100% under RBI because some extent they are come under the state law also. So the RBI is not having that much grip on cooperative banks when it compared to the scheduled commercial banks. When scheduled commercial banks means you can take scheduled commercial public sector banks, scheduled commercial private sector banks, scheduled commercial foreign banks. Fortunately, the other two are working very properly. The only problem with the function of scheduled commercial public sector banks only. So this is a beautiful concept. It can be in prelims and it can be in mains also. So if it is the context of prelims, how we have to see this? So there can be a possibility of its framework, like what are the parameters under PCA framework the RBI is going to consider. It considers capital adequacy ratio, it considers net NPAs, it considers ROA, return on assets, it considers tier 1, tier 3 capital status also. That's all about preliminary point of view. And this Narasimhan committee recommendation with related to consolidation of banking, it's a foundation point of view only. It is not related to prompt corrective action framework. And in preliminary point of view, they can ask about this 2002 year also. That is a very rare thing. And recently, when it is reviewed, that is also very rare thing. 2017 concept. And what are the restrictions? What are the profit sharing of the bank is there? It will be reduced. Restrictions will be there on profit sharing. Restrictions will be there on expansion of bank. Restrictions will be there on the payments of the executive body of the bank. So these kind of the things, these kind of the restrictions will be put on that particular bank by the Reserve Bank of India. And here we are supposed to learn the bad bank concept and the national bad bank establishment, one huge body to compensate all these things. But that is a completely different thing. For that, we are supposed to analyze the things which are going to start with the Raghuram Rajan, then the Urjit Patel, then the issue of China, then the issue of USA, then the issue of Korea, which has got huge success with respect to establishment of bad banks, creating asset reconstruction companies. Remaining all three countries have failed like anything. So when it comes to its continuation related to bad banks, that is a completely different thing. We'll do it on another videos. But for prompt corrective action, I am limiting the content up to this extent only. What is prompt corrective action? When it has been introduced, on what parameters it will be introduced, and how the restrictions will be imposed on that particular bank. So four questions were answered beautifully, I think. So this is all about prompt corrective action framework. And don't forget that it has a continuation. Bad bank, national bad bank, establishment of a huge thing to do to sort out all the issues, and taking examples from our neighboring countries and from USA and uh, Sweden also. There are good examples for this bad bank concept. China is a big failure. We'll take all those things in other videos. So when it is prompt corrective action, this is all about prompt corrective action framework. Thank you. I'll continue my next economy session with bad bank concept. Thank you.